Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm James.
And welcome to the Cornwall Property Podcast, where every week we bring you the latest news, hot topics and guidance around the Cornwall property market.
Stay tuned to be informed, inspired and to have any of your property related questions answered by trusted local property professionals.
Welcome back. I'm Dan.
I'm James.
And this is the Cornwall Property Podcast. Thank you for joining us. And again, first timers, thank you ever so much for giving us your time and your headspace, I suppose. We're here to inform, educate, inspire you guys to get involved with property with a particular focus on the Cornwall market as and where we can. So, thank you very so much.
Absolutely, and it's good to be here, and thank you for all the support that all our viewers and listeners give to us. And just remember that you can get in contact with us by going to the cornwallpropertypodcast.com website. Scroll down on the front page there, and there's a message box at the bottom. You get in contact with us that way, or simply reach out on social media, as many of you do, as we're all here waiting to answer your questions or help in any way that we can, and most importantly, the housing crisis here in Cornwall.
Definitely. So this is our market update kind of episode, and then we have an Ask Dan and James episode following next week. So again, get questions in and we'll look forward to helping. So without further ado, with this ever-changing political world we are currently living in.
Storm.
It is crazy time. I think James is actually going to go for Prime Minister at the moment. But again, at the time of recording this, we do not know who the new Prime Minister is, but at the time of you listening to it, no doubt you will. So again, so much changing, such a speed. So everything we're telling you now, hopefully, is still in date by the time you guys get to hear this on Sunday. But again, as we speak, what I want to focus on is the current. I wonder if he's going to be still in the current Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt. He has obviously come out and spoken about what and if there are changes, and he's reversed many of the issues that we raised previously in a couple of episodes ago with the little mini budget that was gone down a storm. But yeah, they've reversed many tax cuts that they mentioned in the budget from the 23rd of September. But the one thing that I wanted to bring out of this is that there's something that will remain in place, and that is the stamp duty changes. So that's a real positive, I feel, for the property market.
Important.
Very much so. So what can we get from this? Obviously, we know we're in a bit of a turmoil, a bit of a crazy time in the world, but they are trying to, if not in the future, but for the very current time, trying to stabilise the property market and keep it stable, and it is helping. So what I wanted to cover here is just to remind everyone, look, there are stamp duty cuts at the minute, and just to remind you what those entail, they reduce stamp duty bills for home movers in England and Northern Ireland by up to £2,500. That's kind of like the standard kind of reduction there, and up to £11,250 for first-time buyers. So 2/3 of homes, so that's about 66% in England, are now exempt from paying stamp duty. So it's a great help. It is a massive help. Is it going to be enough? We'll see, but I'd rather have that than nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people give a lot of stick, but hey, look, we're getting some support in that property market. I think we just have to take it where we can, because it's not often you do get that kind of support, obviously through COVID, etc., but previously not so much. So how much stamp duty will you have to pay? That's normally a question that we're asked, or how much do I have to pay? So just wanted to just summarise it really for you. Home buyers will now start paying stamp duty on homes priced at or above £250,000. So previously stamp duty was payable on a home priced above £125,000, so essentially doubled that. So you do not pay stamp duty unless you're buying a property for £250,000 or more. Now, first-time buyers won't pay any stamp duty on a home priced below £425,000. So it's a little help there for first-time buyers to get yourself on the ladder. It's an extra kind of just tax cut, essentially. That's what it is, because it is that stamp duty, land tax is a tax. It is a little kind of like, you don't see it, you don't know where you spend it, but it's just something you just got to add on to that purchase cost. So it is a help. So I just want to get that one out there, really. It's just people have asked us a couple of times this week, is that still happening? How much have we got to pay? Well, hopefully that clears that up for you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, it's up there with the biggest costs when buying a property, isn't it? First, you need your deposit, which in many cases is 10-15% if you're a first-time buyer, and then your stamp duty as well, because that can quite easily creep up, between £5,000 and £10,000 on the average price of a house. So if you don't have to, put up that money, and as you say, you don't really know where it goes, you don't really see much return on it, at least, with your deposit, your house, you're kind of knocking that off the bill, aren't you? You actually just putting it into a savings account, which is the property itself and the equity. But yeah, that would definitely be a big incentive for first time buyers, and I hope it stays in for a while, because I just don't think people with the cost of living at the moment are going to be able to, save a deposit, which is a lot of money anyway, to have much disposable income left after all the bills have gone, let alone having that stamp duty as well. So it's good. That is one good thing at the moment.
Definitely. Very well said. Yeah, definitely so. And then the next article I just wanted to touch on is, I won't go into all of it, but if you do want to find out any more on the things that we're talking about, we've obviously in the show notes, if you scroll down to the show notes, we've got links to all of the articles that we're mentioning and referencing here, so you can have a little look in more detail. But very, very quick and simply, we just wanted to share a few ways that you could lower your energy bills. Now, this is a big issue. People are really worried about it. Some of these might sound quite simple, but people just don't still act on it. We've got tenants that are asking constantly that, how can I help with the bills? So we're sharing as much information, as much assistance as we possibly can. But just again, there's 9 ways here. I'm going to go through 5 of them, but you can see the rest of them if you go onto the links in the show notes. So very quickly, be conscious of cleaning your clothes. Believe it or not, that was a top one on this article. When cleaning your clothes, the best way is to try to do it fewer washes as possible. So try fill up a little bit more on the washing machine. Simple way, avoid the tumble dryer. We've got tenants that have tumble dryers. They don't really appreciate how much more energy they use. So they're asking, crikey, the bills in this place. So how often are you using your tumble dryer? We'll use it probably most days. Well, that is a big, big issue for your costs. So again, tumble dryers use a shocking amount of energy. They cost upwards of like £300 a year, run on like a twice a week basis. So if they're using them every other day, that's a massive, massive amount of energy you're using there. So obviously, maybe put it on an extra spin on the washing machine. Again, just limit how much you're trying to use your tumble dryer where you possibly can. Don't leave things on standby. That's an interesting one. I know I'm a criminal for this one. We leave our TV on standby. I leave a lot of things on standby. This is something that switching off your devices completely is a much better way of than leaving them on standby. So when you leave a device on standby, it means that it's using energy, some energy. However, it's not as much of a problem as it used to be, because energy gurus apparently said in this article that you can save roughly £40 to £60 annually by actually avoiding leaving your devices on. Since 2013, the law has actually been in place that standby devices, so devices on standby, can't use more than 0.5 watts. So essentially, if you can, switch devices off. I know I'm a heckler for stickler, should I say, for leaving things on standby. So again, that's somewhere you could save.
All adds up, doesn't it?
Of course it does, yeah. And again, thermostats simply, like, do you need it? Like some people are setting the thermostats to 22 degrees. Do you need it at 22 degrees? What if you dropped it to 20, 21? It's still pretty comfortable, isn't it, at those sort of levels? But just dropping it a few degrees could save you quite a considerable amount over the long haul. And also another little addition is actually, and I'll stop on this last one, is using thermostats on the rads. So if you haven't got thermostatic radiators, and they're basically, when your heating's on, they're on, when they're not, they're not. If you could just get some TRV valves, so the thermostatic valves potentially added to your rads, you can then actually turn them down slightly. So they're not pumping out energy and heating all of the time they're on. It could just trickle. Some rooms you might not want the heating on or need the heating on so much. So it just means that you're kind of having a little bit more control on how much energy you are using here and there. Now, again, apologies, some of these might sound quite dull and mundane. They don't mean to be, but believe it or not, people still do not follow all of these. And there's a few more. I'm not going to go through those now. But yeah, just wanted to bring these up and share them with you, really.
I think it's a time where people do want to, save that money. But for me, it's sort of golden rule. Anything in the house, if it's related to heat, electric radiators, if you've got them in your house, just turning those down by that little bit of degree, like you said. I'll be honest, I'm a nightmare I do like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. When I boil the kettle, for me, I just fill the kettle right up. Why do I need to have? You see the markers on there. It's got like this suffice for 6 cups of coffee. It's only me.
Have you been speaking to my wife?
Possibly,
because she collared me the other day, just had a right go at me because that's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, just need and
why are you filling up for 4 cups? It's only you having one. Okay, yeah, good point.
I think you only start to I know everyone's playing catch up with the smart meters at the moment, but if your smart meter is anywhere near the kettle or the tumble dryer, try turning everything else off and just do your tumble dryer. I think it was about 4p the other day when I did that a full set of 6 cups of hot water. Like 4p is quite a lot when I only needed
for like 30
1
seconds.
instead of like half p. Yeah, so it adds up. Yeah, it's a good point, Dan.
Yeah, that's it. No, so again, article, you can get the links to the show notes. On the show notes, you can get the link to the article. James, what you got for us?
Yeah, I've got a couple of articles that I found on mortgagestrategy.com. Often I get my information from there because it's quite up to date with the financial stuff. But a couple of headlines I've got and a few facts and figures. First headline was rising costs of living a concern for potential borrowers. As the cost of living crisis hits the housing market, almost 2 in 3, 63% of UK adults fear the economic downturn could hurt their chances of getting a mortgage within the next 12 months. This is according to data from Together Home Loans. Of those questioned, 33% had never applied for a mortgage, with issues such as saving for a deposit. We were just talking about deposits earlier on. Like, people just think we're never going to be able to save that deposit. And 32% concerns about affording the actual monthly payments. Like, there's no point us even buying a house just because we're never in a million years going to be able to keep up with those monthly payments. And 17% named as key roadblocks to ownership, particularly in the current environment with mortgages. People are just feeling like, is it really even worth buying a house at the moment? Because, okay, we might have our deposit, but we're just never going to be able to afford to run the house, let alone pay the mortgage payments. The article went on also to say almost 1 in 3 said that they were looking to fix their mortgage payments for longer to cope with these pressures. So if you've already got a mortgage, literally just going to get something fixed and just sit on it. Meanwhile, 16% they were thinking of shopping around for a better mortgage deal. 14% were considering downsizing to free up cash. And this frightening bit here, 9% said that they would even consider selling up to entirely make ends meet and go back to renting.
Wow.
Which I think is quite shocking with the cost of running a house at the moment, and I think, as you said, just regarding to energy, like every penny counts at the moment, like, because it's expensive to live. Any thoughts on that, Dan?
Of course it is. No, again, it is. Budgeting is the key. I think budgeting very, very well. I'm a big advocate of a spreadsheet. For much James loves it. I love a spreadsheet. I love tracking I don't love tracking. I like to see what I'm paying for and how often I'm paying for it, so I know what I've got at the end of the month. And I think that is just so key for so many people to know what your buffer is. What is that buffer? Because and obviously making these little changes where you can do any little savings everywhere possible. I think it's just so important. Little thing again to make some money, just fun something that we've been doing. We've been using Vinted quite a lot recently in terms of any kind of items that we've got in the house we don't use. We're like, have we used that in a while? No, Vinted has been like brilliant. My wife's been there just selling things on Vinted that we don't need anymore, and I think she built up an account of like £500-600 just from selling stuff we don't use in the house. So again, that is a big help for
game
those.
changer. It's technically a boot sale that's not dependent on the weather.
And it's not. It takes a lot of work. She's done a lot of hard put a lot of effort into that. But at the same time, it's something you've got. Everyone could do that. There's bound to be things in your property, in your house, that you don't use or don't necessarily need. That you could just sell it for a few pounds instead of just sat there. Everything helps, and I think it's just so important. There's a budget. Get your numbers in fat, and then try and save where you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really
batten down the hatches.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is worth just exactly knowing where your money is going. Like, literally put it onto it. It doesn't even have to be a spreadsheet. Just write it down. Bring up your bank statement online and go through every single overhead. That is going for the last 2-3 months.
Yeah, so you know the consistency
for things like coffee on the run, but I don't think about that unless I did it the other day and actually worked out. You're looking at maybe £30 per calendar month just on coffee, Starbucks, just on the run. We're busy people, but what's that harm for 10 minutes extra? Fill up the kettle halfway, but do a flask of coffee. It does save, and we are in those times now where we need to watch the pennies.
Yes, damn right.
Absolutely. One other article I found also from Revolution Brokers. The headline was, "Home ownership still cheaper than renting." I quote, "At the moment, owning a home remains less expensive than renting despite rising mortgage costs, according to Revolution Brokers." The phone-based whole-of-market mortgage broker looked at the cost of buying, taking into account full mortgage repayments and an interest-only plan, and with all of this compared this to the average private sector of rent, which was £1,143 a month. A home buyer opting for a 3 and 2 year fixed rate product would face a monthly repayment of £1,075 and £1,098 retrospectively. This means that when repaying a mortgage in full, it still comes in a more affordable option as opposed to spending £1,143 on the average rent. So at the moment, people are saying it's still quite good to buy the house if you can, but people are very worried, and the article goes on to explain where are we going to be in 12 months' time with the rise in, mortgage costs? Will it switch the other way? But we all know the rental sector has gone up, hasn't it, Dan?
And that's what the frustrating thing is we're saying that owning a home, your repayments will be cheaper than you're renting, but you can't get to that benefit, that good position, because the entry level of getting there is just so difficult. So with that reduced stamp duty, obviously they're helping to lower the entry levels ever so slightly, but still it's just getting there, isn't it? And with these these increases in cost of living prices and energy, just general living, fuel prices, etc., it just makes that leap so much harder for people. But again, one thing I hate, this sounds quite negative, and this is what I hate the media for, because these are obviously articles in the media. They're all kind of negative kind of messages. I suppose the stamp duty is a good positive one, but there's going to be opportunities, guys. And I think that's one thing to really take from this. There are going to be opportunities here for you if you are a first-time buyer. There will be opportunities. Again, you've got stamp duty. You haven't necessarily got to worry about as much, depending on what kind of entry level you're going in at. But there might be a chance to get yourself a good deal in the new year or now, perhaps, because people are concerned, people are worried. But at the same time, if they're not being forced to do things, then they don't have to. If they're not being forced out of their house, then brilliant. But if they're making a decision they want to sell the house, then there might be an opportunity. There's so much uncertainty in the market. Obviously, hopefully, if you're a regular listener, you can hear that we have confidence in the market. When you actually do the research, it sounds like we're actually back into like a normal market. But we just had a couple of mad, crazy off record sort of years of growth, and we've still had quite a lot of growth this year. We're only like 8-9% growth already this year.
Absolutely.
But people are still worried because it's starting to slow down, but it's only started to slow down when you're comparing it to the COVID times and the last year or two. When you actually start comparing it to the normal times before COVID, 2019, etc., we're actually starting to get to the levels of the market, like pricing and the drops in price reductions and things like that. It's back to a normal type of market, which is why we're not so concerned. Obviously, the things that are changing are the interest rates and things like that. But again, if you start looking at the property cycle, which we drum on about constantly, I don't think the drop's going to happen in maybe 2-3 years' time. That's where
I second
put my marker in the sand.
Everybody says different things, but it's
I
feel, especially here in Cornwall, it's just quite separate from the rest of the country with performance in the last year. And they're still talking to the agents. This is black and white. The demand is still strong, and again, there's still not enough stock to supply the demand. So that says something. It's going to hold its price, I think, until we start seeing less of a demand. But I can't see that happening anytime soon. So,
so guys, in short, keep positive, do your numbers, know what your outgoings are, and just keep looking at the market, keep watching, and hopefully get involved. Like we're purchasing 2 properties this month ourselves. We're still involved. We're still putting our money where our mouth is. Essentially, we're investing. We're confident. We do our numbers. We do our homework. We're making sure it's very safe, and I don't think there's anything more you can do.
Absolutely.
Right, so this is now the part of the show. We're going to pick you out 2 opportunities. Obviously, with the housing crisis, there are not enough homes on the market and available for private rental or purchasing. So what we are trying to do is try and highlight to yourselves opportunities whereby you could obviously make yourself some money and also bring some properties to the market for local people. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can visually see the properties that we're picking. Dan, I pick a commercial property each fortnight, and James picks a residential. Yep. So again, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're listening on an audio device, you can go on the show notes and you'll see the links to the properties on there. So those that can see or you're listening, I have picked Victoria Place in St Austell, currently marketed by Mayweather and Grows. And this is an interesting one. It is a beautiful old building, but it's already got planning. And it's been empty for quite some time. I know the building fairly well. It's one of our favourites, James. It's a grade 2 listed building, which seems to be a typical trend for us at the moment. We seem to keep buying grade 2 listed buildings. But again, a little bit of fact about this one: 7 one-bedroom flats / studios in a town centre location. Again, there's some great opportunities. It's a good location, as I say. And if you start looking through the photos, you can see it's right opposite the church in St Austell as well. So you've got your wake-up call ready with the church bell. But yeah, it's a good opportunity. Planning is the key. That was always the kind of the worry. But make sure you look at the plans, check the conditions, get your pricing right. But I think it's quite an attractive price.
Very much so.
It's been on a little while. as you can see, some scope for some really, really good works. It's already been kind of essentially ripped out, and it could be a good opportunity here to bring seven homes
Bang.
to the market. Yeah.
And don't be too afraid of grade 2. I know a lot of people sort of, harp on about, don't go near it. But, they are buildings. They are empty. They were once houses once upon a time. And you just get the right consultants in place and, see what you can create in there. And it's just a different animal, isn't it?
Exactly. I think the benefit of this grade 2 listed building is if you're viewing this now, or if you haven't seen it, there's not a lot of features left in this place. There's no real decorative features at all. Bay windows, skirts, but there's no decorative cornice or light fittings or anything like that. So I don't think it looks like there's going to be too much to really worry about in that instance. But yeah, great opportunity. 7 apartments are available. Quite a nice entry level at £325,000. Planning in place already.
Nice, very nice. I have the residential property of the week, which is a 5-bed property on Stanways Road in St Columb Major, not too far from Newquay, in a TR7 postcode. It's currently on the market with Miller Countrywide at a guide price of $270,000. It is a hot property for redevelopment, and it's so hot that it actually has its own sauna. If you have a look at some of the details for the viewers that are looking, but yeah, this is textbook old property, not grade 2 listed, but it needs a full renovation, so definitely value to be added. And it's a decent size. It's got a rear garden. It's in a popular location, and it just screams out to me this would make a really good large family home. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I like it.
See the sauna?
It looks like the kitchen's a sauna. It's very Scandinavian with all the cladding. There's timber cladding everywhere in here. Very mahogany throughout, actually. Very dated. This needs some real loving. But yeah, great opportunity. 270 sounds quite accessible price-wise as well. Again, do your figures, do your numbers, look at what things are selling for in the area, refurbished, and you get a good idea what your end value will be. But definitely some scope. Lovely large garden, isn't it?
Absolutely. Chain-free. Could be a nice and easy sale. And looking at some of the other sale prices on that road, there's definitely value to be added for sure.
It's already into the loft as well.
Yeah,
master bedroom on the top floor.
Maximised space already. It just needs some real love. It's a full renovation, but nothing structural. It's just cosmetic really.
Again, investment wise, it could be potentially a shared house as well.
Absolutely,
it could lend itself quite nicely to a shared house. You could house 5 or 6 people as a HMO. Obviously, depending on getting licensing and things like that. But again, I'm just looking here at this floor plan. The kitchen could be opened up and made like an L shape. Really nice L-shaped kitchen, living area down there. You've then got potentially a couple of bedrooms on the ground floor, 2 to 3 on the middle floor, and another up top. So again, number of opportunities as an investment. You could house maybe 5-6 people in here as a HMO, or you can have it as a beautiful family house. Again, real good opportunity there.
Absolutely.
Like it.
EPC rating of a D, so by looking at this scale of renovation, there'd be easy opportunity to increase that to a C, no doubt. And it is. It doesn't actually say on here being gas central heating.
I was just looking for that.
But the heater in the lounge is a gas heater for sure. And I know that road has got gas. So yeah, I think it's great opportunity there for someone who wants to get stuck in.
For sure. No, brilliant. Well, guys, if you want to do any more inquiries, Miller Countrywide are the agents for that particular property. So guys, thank you so much for your time. That's the end of today's podcast. And again, any questions, please do get in touch. But thank you ever so much for joining us once more.
Yep. And just remember, you can get in contact with us with going to cornwallpropertypodcast.com, go onto our front page, scroll down there and drop us a message, or hook us up on the social media platforms we use, such as Facebook. But thank you very much. And that's bye from me.
Bye from me.